Have you ever felt completely paralyzed, stuck in a cycle of indecision, wondering what God is calling you to do next? You pray fervently, you seek his guidance in scripture, and you wait for that unmistakable sign. But instead of clarity, you are met with thick fog, a fog of doubts, fears, and endless questions. It is frustrating, isn't it? You want so badly to honor God in your next steps, but the path ahead seems impossibly unclear. If this resonates with you, you are not alone. This, I know, is a struggle that many Christian women, entrepreneurs, business owners, they really share. Wanting to align their work, you're wanting to align your work with God's unique design, but you're feeling stuck in uncertainty. Even if you're trying to leave corporate or you want to show up better in corporate. So let's uncover what a lack of clarity could be doing to hold you back, the hidden costs of staying stuck, and practical faith-filled steps that you can start to take to really move forward. I promise that you're going to gain renewed confidence to trust God for your next step and the tools to really break free from this indecision. Hey there, wise woman. This is Deneen TV, your Christian business growth strategist and clarity coach. I've helped hundreds of women just like you learn how to have a God-centered business and to take the step that is perfect for them, that next step. And I want to invite you to get my free training, How to Build an Impactful Business That Serves God and Perfectly Aligns with His Design for You. Without first waiting for some sign from God, developing a brand, or even creating a website, we want to help you do it well. So let's embark on this journey of clarity, courage, and purpose together. So if you're here, let me know. Love to have you chatting with me in the comments. So we're going to start out with the cost of living in uncertainty. What is that cost of not having clarity, having uncertainty? Because when you lack clarity, it's more than just feeling unsure. It's actually like a barrier that can rob you of your peace, of your progress, of your purpose. I've got 4 ways that this uncertainty is costing you. First of all, it is prolonged indecision. Prolonged indecision. Without the clarity, that decision-making process becomes really exhausting. Every option, well, it feels like a gamble, and you fear that you're going to choose the wrong path. We talk about the roundabout of indecision, and that in that roundabout are many different paths, and we're always just afraid that we're going to take the wrong one. So what does that do? It leads us to analysis paralysis, where we just keep spinning around and around. We never gain traction to actually leave. The second thing that it costs us is missed opportunities. These opportunities that are aligned with God's plan, they just may pass you by because you're sitting in your uncertainty. You're waiting for something miraculous to happen. Clarity isn't about knowing every step ahead. It's really about trusting God for the next step and just acting in faith, right? You've heard about that staircase, that you look to the top of the staircase and you think, I can never get up there. But you only need to focus on the next step. And that's what God asks us to do, to just take the next step. The third thing that might be costing you is emotional and spiritual drain. Confusion, it often brings anxiety, it brings frustration, and we can even feel a sense of failure. Spiritually, this can create distance between you and God if you begin to doubt His guidance and your ability to discern His will. You don't think that He can do for you, but we so many times forget how faithful He has been for us. What else can it cost us? Well, it can actually cost us a loss of momentum, a loss of motivation. When you don't know what to do, It's tempting to just sit back and do absolutely nothing. God doesn't call us to do that. The result of that is you're going to lose valuable time, valuable energy that could be used to advance the God-given calling, your God-given calling. We need to be looking for that. We don't want to lose our time. Okay, so what's the next part of this? That's the cost. The next part of this is why clarity feels so hard. Sometimes we think, I'm never going to get clarity. It's so hard for me to get clarity. I keep asking the Lord, but I have to keep waiting and waiting and waiting. If clarity is so essential to moving forward, so why does it feel like it's so hard or so out of reach, that it's that top step in the big stairwell? The struggle isn't about just waiting on God. It's also rooted in internal barriers that keep us from embracing the direction that He's actually opening up and providing for us. So let's unpack some of the culprits, I'm going to call them, along with real life examples to help you bring these struggles into focus. So the first one, and I've got 4 here as well, why clarity feels so hard. The first one is fear of failure. In fact, someone just said this to me yesterday before a clarity call. When you're afraid of making mistakes, every decision feels like it's some kind of potential disaster. You may find yourself endlessly just second guessing, looking for a guarantee that your choice is going to be the one that will help you succeed. But here's the truth. No journey of faith comes with a risk-free assurance. God calls us to trust Him. And even when the outcome isn't very clear, that's what we're supposed to do, trust Him. For example, imagine a woman named Sarah who feels that God is nudging her to start a business offering faith-based coaching. And so she spends months researching, but she can't bring herself to launch it because she's terrified of what people will say if she doesn't succeed. Her fear of failure keeps her stuck, missing opportunities to grow and serve others. I think this is what happened to me when I started my YouTube channel. I came to my networking mastermind group for months, getting all the pieces just right until they finally said, Deneen, just launch it. So I did. The second thing that makes it feel like clarity is just out of reach is overthinking. When you overanalyze every possibility, clarity becomes impossible. You start chasing after perfection instead of progress, which again can paralyze you to do nothing. Overthinking isn't really a sign of diligence. It really isn't. It's often a sign of distrust, like me waiting so many months to start my YouTube channel years ago. And it's really a belief that you can control that outcome in some way, that you just have to think through it enough to make sure you've gotten every scenario possible so you are ready for it. For example, let's take Emily. Let's take Emily, who has a great idea for a Christian blog. So she spends weeks tweaking her website layout, questioning her writing, and second guessing who really her target audience is. So instead of publishing her first post and trusting God to refine her work over time, she stalls in this endless kind of preparation mode, never sharing the message that she knows is vital for someone. What about you? What are you doing that's keeping you stuck? Okay, the third thing that makes you feel like clarity is not really attainable or it's hard to get to is really a disconnected faith. Because sometimes the lack of clarity stems from relying on your own understanding instead of seeking God's wisdom. You might pray for direction, but then you rely solely on your logic or what others are telling you instead of truly listening to the guidance of God through your prayer, through scripture, through quiet reflection, through your journal. Take Megan. Excuse me. Take Megan, for example. She feels called to expand her small business, but bases her decisions entirely on the market trends and the advice from secular experts. I know we all have had secular coaches, so it's not just not Megan. It can be any of us. And what happens is she doesn't take the time to ask God how he wants her to grow. And as a result, she feels disconnected and unsure if her efforts align with his purpose. This alignment is so very important. And we need to stay connected to God in order to get that clarity. And when we're moving away and looking at other things and not bringing it back to God, bringing it to God first, those are the times when we feel that disconnect and clarity is not going to come. I always say we can't do what we want to do and then just pray and ask God to bless it. We've put the cart before the horse if we've done that. So what we need to do is come bring all of it to God first. Another reason, the last reason in this section, number 4, that we might not find clarity or feel like we can find it is unrealistic expectations. It's easy to expect God to just hand over a fully detailed plan or blueprint for your life, but that's rarely how it works. Instead, he often just gives us enough light on that next step, teaching us to depend on him daily. Dependence is what he wants from us. When you expect that the whole picture be laid out in front of you and you don't see it, you can feel frustrated and stuck, mistaking God's process for his silence. For example, Rachel is eager to start a nonprofit ministry, and she prays to God to show her the full vision. What programs will she offer? Who should she hire? How should she fund it? But receives no clear answer. So discouraged, she feels abandoned by God. I know you might have been there before, not realizing that he's calling her to simply take the first step of connecting with her local church and building relationships. By recognizing these challenges in your own life, you can really begin to start to move past them. Each of these barriers is rooted in fear, control, impatience. I hate to tell you, but they're all sins, right? God calls us to do this. He calls us to have faith, to trust, and to surrender. When you let go of all of these culprits, as I've called them, you find clarity is less about having all the answers and more about trusting the one who does have all the answers. Okay, so let's talk about some steps toward clarity. I've got 5 things here that you can start to do that will help you have some steps toward clarity. That's the good news, right? You don't have to stay stuck. We're going to give you these 5 practical ways, or I'm going to seek clarity and to take that next step, the one that God is leading you toward. So the first one is to reconnect with God's vision for your life. With your journal, spend time in prayer, asking God to remind you of his promises. Look them up in the Bible. And really, his promises, his purpose that he's placed on your heart. Dive into the scriptures and realign with this truth. Write it out. What is he putting on your heart? Write it out to him. Maybe it's coloring it. Maybe it's making a list, but do something to record what you are feeling. The second part is to focus on just the next step. You know, God rarely shows us, again, the whole journey all at once. Because if he did, we would be kind of scared. If we knew all the things that he had in store for us, we might just sit back and go, that's too big. I can't do it. So he only just reveals enough to move forward. Trust him. Trust him to guide your steps and provide the resources as you walk in obedience. I know at one point I felt like I was standing on a cliff and I was looking at like the Grand Canyon, and I knew that what God wanted me to do was big, was something out of my comfort zone. And I said to him, what do you want me to do? Just throw myself off of here? And he said, no, just take the first step. And when I took that first step off that huge cliff, it was as if God had a stepping stone that came up and met me. And every time I take that step, those stepping stones are there, no matter how slow or how fast I go. But I will tell you, momentum begins to pick up the more you take those steps, the faster you take those steps. Okay, the third thing to help you take those steps forward is to surrender to the outcome. Release your need for that control, for that perfection. Faith means trusting God for the results, even if the path seems unclear, even if the results sometimes are not what you expect. God will use all of it. Fourth thing is to seek wise counsel. God often speaks through a community of believers. Talk to your mentor if you have one, a coach if you need one, or even a trusted friend who can offer insight and encouragement in your next move. That's part of what we do in our community with Calling Clarity. We really want to help you to move forward. We might have been there, done that, and we can give you great expert advice. That's what God gives us in community. The fifth thing to help you step forward is to just take action in faith. Don't stay in the roundabout. Don't stay in analysis paralysis. Don't stay in sitting back and doing nothing, being stuck. Sometimes the clarity actually comes after we've stepped out in faith. So be willing to move forward, even if you feel unsure, trusting that God will truly redirect you if needed. Clarity comes from action, not from staying here in your head, but coming out and actually doing something. I want you to remember this too, that clarity is not a destination. It is a journey. So think of clarity as a journey, not as a destination. Okay? It is a journey. God will reveal what you need. Remember, clarity is never just a one-time revelation. What God revealed to me 10 years ago, 15 years ago, when I began this journey with Christian women entrepreneurs and business owners, with people in the workplace, I could not have imagined just everything being laid out back then. It's been clarity over time, revelation over revelation. It's really an ongoing process that God is using in me. He's using in you to really deepen our trust in Him and really stay aligned and attuned to His leading. When you embrace the journey, the adventure, as I like to call it, you'll find that clarity grows with each step of faith that you take. The clarity comes faster. And when you're going through tough times, it can feel like it's not faster, but you have the tools to be able to go to Him and get that clarity much quicker. That's why Calling Clarity has those tools, the tools that you need to continue gaining clarity throughout your entire business adventure. Again, I'm going to invite you to the free training on building a God-centered business that has you taking action. I know sometimes we need help, outside help. That's what the community is for. That is why God gives us to one another, so that we can come alongside, support, and encourage. The training is really designed to help you understand God's design of you specifically, so you can avoid analysis paralysis and really start aligning your work with your faith. There's no polished brands, there's no website required in all of this, because it's a space for you to explore how you can move forward in confidence, building a business, building a ministry that really honors Him and uses the gifts that He's given you. Is that the next step that God's asking you to do today? Don't let the fog of uncertainty hold you back. Seek Him. Trust Him. Move forward with confidence. You don't have to do this alone. If you're ready to align your business, your work with God's design and find the clarity that you've been searching for, click the link on the free training. I'd love to help you out on this journey. So let's move forward together, one step at a time. Thanks for being here with me. I hope you're enjoying the replay. Don't forget to like the video, good thumbs up, especially if you're enjoying the content. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. Let me know in the comments what clarity you need so that you can stop being held back, doing what God is calling you to do next. This is Deneen TV. Have a great rest of your day. And as always, be filled to overflowing.